I have a background of NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. So basically, we come from a place of looking for patterns in language, thoughts, and behavior. So this is my subject. So there was a hat seller who used to go and sell hats in the markets. So he used to carry a lot of hats in his head, and then he will go around selling this hat. So the question today is, what kind of environment are we living in? One is your physical environment. Then obviously today we have this another big area, which is your online environment. Because today even schools have also started. Uh, yeah. Okay. So then we have your emotional environment. Today's industries target children for selling their goods. So, this book talks about the US industries where children are facing unprecedented problem because of this four industries. And he talks about how to save your child from four industries. There is a strategic selling, there is a strategic um, method to corner your child. Okay, so now the response to this is what I say is strategic parenting. So now, how do you strategically parent your child so that your child doesn't fall victim to this methodologies? I'm asking you all, what kind of personal challenges that you are facing in your life, in the father's life, in the mother's life, will the child also face such challenges? And what kind of guidance are you going to give to the child to help the child overcome those challenges? Or will the child also have a similar meltdown that you had in your lives? Is the child also going to go through it again and again in his life also? Huh? And because we pass on similar language, thought process, and behavior to our children, they also get the same formula to recreate the same problem in their lives. So now, how can we help them to give them some guidance which can help them to rise above them? This is what I mean by um, strategic parenting. The society is full of all kind of people. Yeah, and then all kind of people have children, and children are what are carriers of father mother's patterns. Hmm?
True. Thank you for joining us. We already have 20 people to start off exactly at 5 p.m. And welcome everyone for this evening's learning session organized by Disciples India Learning Forum, a platform purely for the joy of learning. And first of all, a big thank you to my mentor Ashok Subramaniam, who has accepted my request and agreed to take today's session, which is about strategic parenting. Uh, Ashok is an NLP expert who has specialized in assessing personalities, and he is very good at studying verbal patterns and in the natural language and explore the effect on thinking and behavior in people. He is one of those pioneers in India who has contributed significantly to the NLP industry in India, and for the last 2 decades, exclusively using his unique training courses. He is the founder of Sinota Consulting, one of the oldest NLP training. It is based in Bangalore, and also it offers online and residential courses where currently he is now staying in the outskirts of Krishnagiri. And I have associated with him for the last 5 years now, and it's a pleasure learning with him. And when I requested him to take a subject for one of our sessions, and he accepted my request and he agreed. And that's the reason that we have Ashok Subramaniam together with us for the topic strategic parenting. So the coaching nuances for better parenting is what we called it. So I know a lot of parents, a lot of people who are going to be future parents are with us today, and also grandparents to begin with. So Ashok, just to begin the session, a small analogy I would like to take it from you. Earlier we had instances where the parents used to walk the distance for about 20 minutes to save 50 rupees. Today the kids spend 50 rupees to spend 20 minutes. And there is a change, and both are right in different aspects. So how should we start today's session when it comes to strategic parenting? So with that, I let open the floor for Ashok to start over. And welcome, Ashok. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, all of you. Thank you, Ranga, for hosting the session. Okay, so yeah, I think we are set. Thank you all for joining me today. I have a background of NLP, which is Neuro Linguistic Programming. So basically, we come from a place of looking for patterns in language. Patterns in language, thoughts, and behavior. So this is my subject. So today I'm going to talk about how observing patterns in children and how you can benefit by using those methodologies or those tools in parenting. Okay, so yeah, so before we go ahead, you can always type what you want to ask or any of your reactions over to me. And then, I would also like the session to be interactive. So for me to talk to myself or to talk in private could be a little odd. So anyway, but we can go on. So to start with, thank you, Ranga, for, Ranga has been with me. He has done master practitioner with NLP. So we have time and again met and have supported him in a few areas. And I'm very glad that now this forum is available to take these ideas to a lot more people. Okay, I will start with a small story and then we can move on into more areas. So there was a guy, most of you might know the story, but there is a small twist in the story, so you will enjoy it. So there was a hat seller who used to go and sell hats in the markets. So he used to carry a lot of hats in his head, and then he will go around selling this hat. And when he was going to sell this hats, he has to pass through forest, and where he has to rest the night, and the next day he will go and sell the hats in the market nearby. And he has been doing this over the years, and when he became old, he wanted to he could not go, and his child was grown up young man, and he was taking over this job of selling hats. So the father told him that this is the market where you will get a good amount of sales and a good amount of profit. and you have to go through this forest, and where you can go and sell this hats. He said, okay. But there is only one small challenge in the forest. When you go in the night and you have to sleep in the forest, and next day morning you will go to the market. So when you sleep in the market, sleep in the forest, you will have this monkeys which will come, and they will take all the hats and wear on their um, head. Okay. And next day when you wake up, they will all be around you, and they will all have the hats, each one on their head. And what you have to do is you have to keep one hat under with you when you sleep, and you also wear the hat. And when you put the hat down, all the monkeys will also put the hat down. So you can collect all the hats, and then you can go to the market next day and you can sell it. This is what I have been doing over the years with the monkeys, and no problem, they are safe, and you will get all the hats back. So you can do this. So he agreed, and then he went. And similarly, he went to the forest, and then he slept in a good tree underneath. And the night passed, and next day morning he woke up and he found that the tree was full of monkeys, and each one had one hat on their heads. And he carefully took his hat, which he kept it with him, and then he took the hat and he put it. And then he looked at the monkey, and the monkeys looked at him. And then he took the hat and he threw it down, and he expected that the monkeys will also throw it down. The monkeys didn't respond. They didn't throw the hat down. And he was wondering, because his father's tip was not working. And he again and again he took the hat and put it on the head, and he threw it down, and the monkeys were not responding. So he was wondering, he didn't know what to do, because only if the monkeys respond and throw the hat down, he will be able to take them and go to the market. And if the monkeys didn't throw, obviously he can't do anything. So he got frustrated, he got angry, he tried so many things. Finally, he didn't have anything, he couldn't get it back. So he was walking back to his home only. He was taking the way he came back, and he was walking back. And as he was walking, one of the monkeys shouted, "Even we have fathers." This is the story. And I'd actually like some reactions to this story.
Correct.
Yes, Lohit. So you said nice one, no? Can you tell me a little more what was nice?
Yeah, I think your maybe knowledge from your father doesn't work now. Maybe it was working previously, maybe in his times, but not now. So yeah, it's a good catch.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so now the question now is I'm going to ask is, what is parenting? Caring for your kids. Okay, bring them with values, give opportunities, guide them to live their life, upbringing. Okay, so I'm just going to reword what you have said as per this in the context of this story. Parenting is helping your child face the future challenges, with little more guidance. Do you agree? To look at strategic parenting, we need to understand what is our parenting strategy, because all of us have certain strategies in parenting, no? We all have a strategy in our parenting, no? We all behave in a certain way, and we encourage children to behave in the same way. And if children don't behave in a particular way, we get angry. So which means definitely there is a rule of law in our house. Yeah. And then we try to go by, we often try to bring our children back into that rule. Okay. So most of the times, how does our parenting look like. So I'm just going to show you one more video, and then we'll come back to this. Okay, so this video is on. Okay, so one of the key things is we are protecting the child, and then we are trying to control, and also we are giving them freedom. So obviously, we could have different parameters on what we want to protect them from, where we want to control them, and where we want to give freedom. Okay, so today basically I'm going to talk about uh, how do you determine what kind of future challenges will your child face? Yeah, and how can you prepare them? And what kind of guidance can you give? So if you go back with some ideas on this, I think my day will be done for today. We have done something. Okay, the child, like what we watched in the video, uh, the child is trying to run here and there in an environment. Okay, and the mother is trying to obviously protect the child and or take the child somewhere else because the mother wanted the child to go somewhere. Otherwise, the child is very playful. So the question today is, what kind of environment are we living in? So that is what can help us understand what kind of challenges they are going to face. And as parents, how are we going to respond to the child's needs? Okay. So obviously, one is your physical environment. Then obviously, today we have this another big area, which is your online environment. Because today even schools have also started. Uh, yeah, okay. So then we have your emotional environment. So the physical environment is obviously the space in your home, and the various spaces that you go into, like it could be schools, malls, huh? So yeah, and then your online environment is obviously today what is going on in the online mode. And then your emotional environment is what kind of emotions do you have in your home? Angry, happy, sad, frustrated, obviously. So we can look into all of this. Okay. So just to give you some context, um, there was a book in which was released in US. Okay, I'm going to talk about two books. Maybe if you want to read about them, you can do that. So that if you want to read more about it, one book is called Lost Child in the Woods. And then second book is about Childhood Under Siege. So the story that we said in the beginning, where the father is given a tip and the child is going and applying that tip in his job, and what he realizes is that the environment has changed, where what the ideas of the father is not working in the new environment, because the monkeys have learned and they have become a spotter, and so the child has lost the wisdom that his father gave. He could not apply it there. So similarly, we as parents, we can give certain wisdom to the child, but we also have to look at how was the environment changed in the times that that is now the child is facing. What kind of environment? Okay, so these two books give you some idea on what is happening in the environmental space. Okay, The Last Child in the Woods talks about, it's talking about, both the books are from US. So it talks about the environment in USA, but obviously we are also catching up. A lot of changes have happened in our places also. So we can also look into our city and then look at how this relates to the city in our lives. Okay. So The Last Child in the Woods talks about how nature is being completely depleted around us. So what does this mean? In US, he says the last generation, when they grew up, most of the times they were going and playing in the woods, which means forest. And they were playing in the woods, and they will come back when they come back from the school, or sometimes they will be dreaming in the woods. And the author says today the number of children who are playing in the woods have come down, because the woods have actually come down. The forests, the access to the forests have come down. And so he says the last child who is going to play in the woods belongs to this generation. So he talks about many things. One of the key things that he talks about is today's children, they come out of the house, which is a concrete building. Then they move and get into a bus, which is a machine. And then they move into the roads, which is again a concrete space. And then they go to the school, which is again a concrete space. And then the whole thing happens, whole day spends in the classroom. So he says children today have very little access to nature, and they're more spend time in concrete facilities. So this is the environment where the child is now growing up. And how is this affecting the child? So the book talks about ADHD is one of the common problems today's generation faces, and how access to nature can cure a lot of this problem. So it is full of case study of how a mother took the child to the park in the morning before she sent the child to school, and how the child was more calm and more forthcoming to go to school. Otherwise, the child was very agitating and was not sitting in one place. And just giving access to nature was helping the child to cope up more with the school. Okay, so that is one book. And the second book that I'm going to talk about is about Childhood Under Siege. Okay, so this book talks about how today's markets are playing with the children. Okay, obviously, I lived in Jayanagar for 2 years in Bangalore, and my child, obviously, she was growing up, and we were actually homeschooling her. So we were not sending her to school. So she was with me, and I was running a training center there. So she was being involved in the activities of whenever the training happens and all that. So every day, we used to go out in Jayanagar, the fourth block, and she will be going and she will be looking at all the shops, and she will be purchasing a lot of things. And slowly, she was interested in what can I buy today. And this was becoming a problem day by day, because every day she would like to buy something. Okay, so this book, Childhood Under Siege, it says today's industries target children for selling their goods. So, this book talks about the US industries where children are facing unprecedented problem because of this four industries. And he talks about how to save your child from four industries. So, can I ask you guys, which are the industries where we have to be careful in raising our children today? Gadgets, okay. So obviously, one of the industry is, can I say, in entertainment. Okay, obviously. So I think we have got all of them here. Chocolate. So the second industry is food, and then healthcare. So the third industry is hospitals, and then education. So the fourth industry is schools. Okay, so these are the four topics that the book deals with, and then it talks about how children who start to go as a client to the entertainment slowly becomes an addict, and then starts to create havoc in the home. Hmm? So the book gives an example. The child was playing a video game in the first floor, and the day was a Christmas day, and the Christmas dinner was ready, and the father was asking the child to come down and join the family for dinner, and the child was not coming down. So finally, what the father did was, the father took the gadgets, threw it up into the lockers and locked it, and brought the child for dinner. Okay, and the dinner happened, and the child had the dinner. And the next day, the child left the house and ran away. So which means the addiction that the child had started to create havoc in the family. So what started off as an entertainment was no more an entertainment. Similarly, the book gives an example on how food addiction starts to play a big role in terms of children's health, and how it feeds the hospital. Children eat a lot of junk, and then they start to move to the hospitals, because hospitals, immediately it becomes the client. So client for the hospitals. And similarly, hospitals, the medicines that sometimes comes to the child starts to also addict them. The book has some case studies on all of this, like how a small medicine that the child starts to take to attend the classes to avoid the fever and things like that, how the child's life and health starts to get ruined by these medicines. And then the schools. So the book talks about how the exams in schools more look at children as their potential advertisement, uh, you know, actors, advertisement data. Like we have got 100%, we have got 95, which is like the state first. So children more become like a tools for creating brand name for schools, rather than the school being interested in what the child wants. So there are, the whole book is like this big, and you have almost 100 pages on each topic on the situation in the US. But obviously, we are also downloading, most of the strategies that is happening in the US. Right now, I think Bangalore is no less than New York, or Delhi is no less than London. So these are some factors which are governing our environment. So we talked about the first aspect of physical environment. So these are some. So obviously, so parental guidance is about how you can help your child avoid uh, getting into uh, being a victim to all these four aspects. So which means you can you have seen that chimpanzee which is trying to control the baby chimpanzee from falling into a trap or falling into a pit, or spending mindlessly somewhere else where the parent is not feeling his value addition to the child. So this is the same thing that now we have to do in putting the child in the right school and having the right amount of control the school can have on the child, or the hospitals, or the right kind of food, or the right kind of entertainment, so that they have a good growing up and a happy coming up. Okay. Then we have this online. Today, obviously, we have the whole environment of schools, and being in the quarantine. We have to the children. The movement from the children is being taken away, because now the child has to sit. Right now I am sitting and talking to you. I am sure after this webinar, everyone will go and walk and do some exercise and try to move their body, and we say, oh my god, we've been 1.5 hours or 1 hours, we have been caught up with this whole session. Now we have to move. And today young children, we are not giving them the movement. We are bringing them online. Obviously there is no other way in the quarantine. So we are going to look at how we can strategically bring back movement in the ways that is possible after the class for our kids too. Okay, and then the third aspect that we are going to talk about is emotional environment. So the environment becomes even more difficult because at least before you had a fight in the home, you left to the office, and then the child left to the school, so everybody got a break from the fight. Today in the quarantine space, obviously you can't leave the home. Everywhere it is locked down. Child cannot leave the home, so the difficult situation stays longer, and it exhausts everybody. So now you need a strategy uh, to keep a good environment, good healthy emotional environment at home. So how do we do this? So these are some challenges today. So I talked about physical environment, your online environment, and then your emotional environment. So what I'm going to now talk to you is, obviously, we are today we can't live like an island. We have to be in a community so that our jobs are easy. Huh? Yeah. So obviously we depend on this. Today we want some food. We have to go to the supermarket. We buy things. We can't do agriculture and take it. So then we want some snacks. We can't make it at home. We purchase it because it is available, and it makes life easy. And we are able to do more work of maybe earning money or other things. So we can lessen a lot of our efforts because of this. Institutions, whether it is a food company or whether it is a school, we leave the child in the school. So we are able to be supported. These institutions support us in creating value for the child, and that makes our life easy. Okay. And I'll just talk to you now. This was usually the case. When I was a young boy, my father used to give me some pocket money, and then he will say, "You go out and buy some sweets." And when I go out to the sweet shop, I was in a town. Okay, I will run to the sweet shop, and the uncle who was in the sweet shop will get the money and will give me something which is a very good sweet, and he will guide me to eat it, and then I will eat it, and then I will come. So there was some kind of morality that this uncle had, where he will know which one is good for me, or there some kind of scrutiny was going on. But today, if the child goes to the supermarket, obviously, I can talk to you about some strategies that the supermarkets adapt. Okay, these are all coming from our MBA minds. So near the billing counter, you will find some snack box. So you have already fought with the child. The child has asked so many things, and then you have said no to everything. And then this snack box is just in the reachability of the child. And immediately the child says, I want to take it, and the child picks it up, and you have no other option than to pay the bill and move on. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is there is a strategic selling that is happening in the supermarket. And now, if you just fall as a victim to it, you have to purchase and you have to go on. And now, today, I don't know, I don't purchase so many things now, but you had this, you have this egg-shaped chocolate,
Kinder Joy.
Kinder Joy. And then, my daughter was a great fan of this because it had this doll toy inside it. And I think, I don't know, it was selling like hot cakes. And so now, slowly when you start to buy this, they want to know what is the next toy that they will get. And then the next toy. So slowly, the amount of sugar that they eat goes up. And obviously, this will put you into the second institution, which means the next two institutions which will get affected is the schools, because after eating a lot of sugar, child will be hyperactive. And then obviously the hospitals, because gradually either the tooth decay or whatever, which can help depending on the amount of chocolate what you go. So the child will go into the next one. So what I'm trying to say now is there is a strategic selling. There is a strategic method to corner your child. Okay, so now the response to this is what I say is strategic parenting. So now how do you strategically parent your child so that your child doesn't fall victim to these methodologies? And there is a big science behind how your environment is governed around the children. Okay. So now, what do you do? I can give you some examples of what I do. One is obviously, we have a computer for my daughter, and this computer, I load a lot of data, lot of videos, which can be, which can be which we supervise, and we download it for my daughter. Obviously, she can also find out some videos and come and tell us, and we can look at them and download those videos and give it to her. And she can anytime go into this computer and look at what she wants to watch and how she wants to watch. It is available, but we cut the access of direct online. So what I'm trying to say is we need to come up with some strategies to beat the strategies which are coming from these institutions, and that is what I'm calling as strategic parenting. Okay, so this is one aspect on the physical environment and the online environment. Okay, now is the most important topic that we are going to come to, which is connected to my subject NLP. Which is about your emotional environment. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the first definition of parenting. Mhm. Yeah, so we talked about parenting is about helping your child face the future challenges with little more guidance. So, can I ask you, what kind of challenges will your child face? We talked about the common challenges, which is coming from the schools, which is coming from the supermarket, which is coming from the hospitals. These kind of challenges we spoke about. But here I'm talking about the emotional environment. So, for example, this father who was doing the monkey, selling the hats, when he went to the forest, he specifically found that these monkeys come and steal the hats. So the father told the child that, look, uh, your these monkeys are going to come and steal the hats from you also. The father was able to tell that to the child. Yes or no? So the question that I'm going to ask you now is, do you know what challenges that your child is going to face in the future? Not from these institutions, but from your family. So, do you know it? What sort of family challenges or personal challenges? I'll not put it as family, I'll say personal challenges. So, for example, um, ups and downs of life, okay. So, I'll tell you one example. I'll just give you a random example, and then because parenting is a unique activity, is very unique. Is every family has their own style of parenting. So there was a father who came to my workshop, and he was working in a big company, and he was from he had lived in Australia for quite some time, but he was basically from Andhra Pradesh, and he came to my workshop, which we held in Hyderabad. So in the workshop, one of the challenges that he was talking about is for him to give presentation was a difficulty. He was not very confident about giving presentations. So when I worked with him and when I went deeper with him, what I noticed was he had some kind of inferiority complex. So he usually is not very confident to talk in English, to before the group and to be able to present his ideas, even though he's very good with the skill. So the point is, what? What we figured out was he had studied in a rural school in a village. Okay, in a rural school he had his growing up, and now he is working in a corporate setup. So the challenge that he is facing is that he still carries this inferiority complex that he studied in a rural school. So now my question to you all is, will his child also suffer from inferiority complex? Because the child would have also seen his father struggle talking to strangers or talking in a professional spaces, and the child would have also learned that there is something about myself that I have to be concerned about. So for that particular family, the father had to come out of that inferiority complex, and then the child also has to be guided to come out of the inferiority complex. Then the child is able to handle the environment better. So likewise, I'm asking you all, what kind of personal challenges that you are facing in your life, in the father's life, in the mother's life, will the child also face such challenges? And what kind of guidance are you going to give to the child to help the child overcome those challenges? Or will the child also have a similar meltdown that you had in your lives? Is the child also going to go through it again and again in his life also? So, strategic parenting in that sense means you have to enable your child strategically, which means looking at a long term and then understanding, okay, this kind of problem my child will be facing in future. So you have to do an intervention right now so that the child can face the challenges with confidence. And rise above them. So if you tell me some of your personal challenges, then we can look into understanding or identifying how this would have impacted your child. Because in NLP, what we say is, we say that all this challenges that you faced in your life, they definitely had a formula, which means the formula was your language, your thought process, and then your behavior. And because we pass on similar language, thought process, and behavior to our children, they also get the same formula to recreate the same problem in their lives. So now, how can we help them to give them some guidance which can help them to rise above them? This is what I mean by strategic parenting. So can we have some reactions now? So I think Ranga has said expectations on a future role which family member missed being. I hated school, same is being observed by my daughter. Not interested in max. So the daughter is also not interested in max. Okay. So Monica, living in fear. Well, tell me, Monica.
So Ashok, the fears, a very big fear that I see in myself is safety as a woman. Being safe, it could be among known people or unknown people. So safety is a big issue as a woman, I feel.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if I have how it could get transmitted, but I'm sure it must be coming out through my language, thought process, or behavior, and getting transmitted to my daughter. I'm not sure if that could have changed if I had a son, but with a daughter, somewhere I see those fears could get manifested or transferred.
Yes, and those fears are useful, Monica.
In some spaces, maybe useful in terms of being safe, taking care of yourself, and not, getting into difficult situations. In some places, I see the usefulness, but it could build a mindset of hatred or extreme emotion in the child, is what I'm thinking.
Okay, so now you are not enjoying this fear all the time, no? No. So you think that your child also will go through the similar space in her life?
Could be. I'm not sure as yet, but could go through.
So So now, what kind of strategies can you help your child with to be able to face this kind of challenge in the future or right now?
See, I'm doing age-appropriate education is what I'm doing with the child, in terms of safe touch, in terms of, asking her to be watchful if there are strangers around. So basically, education is my major means of communicating at this point in time.
Okay. So, I think living in a city and for a woman, there are challenges, which we have to equip the children from a young age. So maybe I think also usually fear gives us a sign towards preparing for something.
Okay.
So, which means, for example, going out 9:30 in the night for a young daughter, can be troublesome.
Right.
So, which means either we give her a preparation of this is the problem in this locality. So, walking out alone is a challenge. So, take help from any of us to come with you, or help her to learn some martial arts so that she is ready for any eventualities,
Right.
or give her a dog with which she can walk around with a dog. So I'm saying these are some of the methods we can invest in preparation, so that either she doesn't go out, or if she has a need to go out, she takes an elder, and this way we address this fear.
Right.
So we don't have to live in fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So the point is, either we look at addressing the fear by itself, or if we have a tendency to create fear unnecessarily.
yeah, I know.
Yes. So we can start to address the source itself. If it is a genuine fear, I think we need to prepare. If it is unnecessary fear, then obviously you need to look at your own mind and work with that.
Right, right. I think that has also been my course of my learning. My daughter's birth was a lot of changes in me, because a lot of my these behaviors, unnecessary fears were brought out in the open.
Yes.
And there are a lot of things that I have worked with. I'm sure there must be many that I'm exploring still.
Yes. Thank you, Monica.
Thanks, Ashok.
Yeah. Can we have more reactions? So meanwhile, I'll just talk about a little bit about fear, and because it is a girl daughter also, and one of the areas where we least prepare our girl children and also boy children, girls and boys today, is pregnancy and delivery. And obviously, this has happened in the last generation itself. So today, you can see that the number of C-sections have gone up. So obviously, this is an area. This is definitely an area where I feel parental guidance is necessary. Okay, so maybe if somebody has questions, we can go more into it. But otherwise, I'm open for more reactions from people, and then maybe we can go a little more depthfully if necessary.
Even anything related to child abuse and other things, like what Monica also mentioned, Ashok, anything, whether to put her into a co-educational school, or should it be only a women's school or a girls' high school, that people have a fear of sending them into an institution as well, or making them stay in a hostel till they attain a particular age. Should that be also falling in the fear factor?
The society is full of all kind of people. Yeah, and then all kind of people have children, and children are what? Are carriers of father mother's patterns.
True.
And today, not just father mother, you can also add anybody whom they have access to online, because many times the phone is only raising the child. Like the phone spends a lot of time with the child than the father or mother. In some homes. Okay. So basically, I'm saying that you can expect all sorts of experiences when you walk out of your home, and negotiating that is life. So as a parent, I mean, you can look for a good school, you can look for a good teacher, but obviously the kind of students you get in the school determines how good the school is. And yeah, see, and I feel yeah. So uh, I mean, you can go on to choose what works first, what works best, and then deal with it, because you cannot, in other ways, you cannot run ahead of your society. You can be smarter, but the society will still come back and pull you back. So can I have more reactions from people? Our grandparents and parents handled parenting without any major problems. But in recent time, both parents and children have issues with each other. Is it because of excess exposure and less time for each other? So basically, my reaction to this question is see, this is a very general question, and we can't really put a reason to it as this or that, but it will be good to go into the situation of what kind of issues the parent and children are having between them, and how we can those issues will have the cube issues will have the map for the solution, for the answer. Hmm? So if we can understand some of these issues, then we can look at whether it is because of excess exposure or less time for each other, or whatever is the reason, we can go into it, and then we can start to help them. Yeah, definitely there are issues in every family with the new generation, but we have to look at what kind of issue is coming up in each families. One that, like in a city family, in a rural family, in a working family, in a single mother family, you will have different issues coming up. And looking at the issues, we can actually help the family to move forward. Okay, so I will just share a couple of experiences and then we will close. I worked with a person. He was his age was about 35, 30, no, 37, and he had a problem. He could not get married. Every time he will look for a girl, and he will fall in love, and the girl also will like him. But somehow before the marriage, he will back off. So this has happened 2 3 times, and then he came to my workshop. And then when we understood that whenever the marriage is coming closer, he becomes very nervous, and then somehow he fights, and then he backs away from the marriage. So when I observed what was the problem that happens to him before his marriage, he told that his father and mother were always fighting before him. They had huge fights, and then they divorced also subsequently. And he was a child who witnessed this whole process of their fight, and they were divorced, and how it happened and all of that. So now when he wants to get married, he begins to understand that somehow he will also fight and divorce, and he can't be confident in making long-term investment in relationship. So eventually, obviously I worked with him, and we helped him to forget some of this past, and we helped him to overcome some of this, and then move into the marriage with an empty mind. So what I'm trying to tell here is the everyday emotional climate that we have in the home will definitely create certain impact on your children when they grow up. So the more investment you make in terms of making it, today there are a lot of possibilities in how you can improve your emotional climate in the home. About yourself, about others in the family, so that you can have a happy environment in the child, so they can benefit out of this. Hmm? Okay, so I think with this. We all do parenting. We do what is possible, and we do happy. But the question has always been, has what you're doing enough? This is the question. If it is enough for the child to take care of himself or herself, to negotiate the challenges, the future challenges. So if it is enough, then obviously it is a great parenting. But if it is not enough, then we got to double up and do something to help the child to face the challenges confidently. So with this question, I think I will close. Thank you, Ranga, for inviting, and thank you for all for coming in such huge numbers and being part of this and engaging with us.
Oh, Ashok, wonderful. I think we are getting fantastic compliments as one of our participants, Hasina, mentions webinar में ऐसे विद्वानों का विचार को सुनने का मौका मिलना हमारी खुशनसीबी है. So thank you, and it goes appropriate like whatever that you have shared so far, and it's again an individual to individual topic that can go, because everyone has their aspirations to bring up their child the best way possible.
Thank you, Ranga.
Like this.
What Kushna CB means what, Ranga?
Good fortune.
Good fortune. Okay, thank you.
लालेत पंचवर्षाणि दशवर्षाणि ताडयेत प्राप्तेत षोडशे वर्षे पुत्रं मित्रं वदाचरेत. There is a good verse in Sanskrit that says till the baby is 5 years old, you have all the time to cuddle him, and when he attains the age of 10, from 5 to 10, you need to be harsh on him, and when he attains 16, you should be like a friend to him. And all these different nuances that are earlier generation they have provided with, I think your session goes apt in that, bringing about strategically how we can definitely bring some of the insights that you shared with us today to make it happen. And we should definitely look about it. I know there are a lot of comments again, like Lohit mentioned, for young couples, it has been a good session for them to understand what can be done. Great insight for a young couple like us. Thank you is what Lohit shares. Ashok, thank you very much for coming on and sharing your valuable time and insights towards this noble cause of learning.
Thank you for your time, and hopefully everyone took some inputs and good insights from your session. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Shivam.
And thank you all for accepting our invite and joining us in this endeavor of learning. And I'm sure we will definitely have more sessions coming our way with different topics, different speakers sharing their experiences. And we will definitely put in our efforts to take back at least a page from their book of experience and make a small change that can definitely improve our society and our well-being. Thank you very much. And with this, we will be ending our today's session. Should you have anything to say, Ashok, before we wind up?
Thank you, Ranga. It's been a great, 1.5 hours. I really enjoyed sharing some of these thoughts, and thank you all for coming in and for staying till the end. That itself shows how deeply you are committed for this club of learning and also to this webinar. So thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Ashok. Thank you very much again. Thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to meeting you again. We will be sharing our next topic messages through WhatsApp and social media. You can always look out to us on Facebook, Disciples India Learning Forum on Disciples India group page. Thank you very much, and also you can find Ashok on LinkedIn as well as on YouTube. You can type Ashok Subramaniam, or you can go on to shinota.com He's the founder of Shinoda.com. And should you have any further interest in NLP, you can always reach out to Ashok. And I'm sure once you go there, you will definitely make it a habit to keep going multiple times, like I've been doing it. Thank you very much, and have a great evening and a happy weekend.